Hey, welcome everyone. You're listening to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. We are the number one internet talk network, and this is gold, not gold, it is gold actually. Going Bold Wednesday. We are gold. What the heck? How
That's
about that?
I love that.
I do
Um,
love that.
love that. So I'm just, as you know, I'm sharing the show in a couple of different places. Good evening. My name is Dr. Christopher Salute. You are listening to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network Radio. You are watching Bold Wednesdays with your hosts, Dr. Christopher Salute and Cece Shatz. Cece is the Doyenne of relationships. I am just a regular old Joe with a couple of letters at the end of his name. Wanted to chat with you a little bit about are you reading the signs right? Are you in a relationship? Are you not? What are some flags? Red, green, blue, otherwise? Cece, what's up? This was definitely a conversation that you wanted to have, so I'm going to follow your lead on this. I did some research in preparation for the show, but I'm curious to see what your thoughts are.
Well, I think often we get ourselves into relationships and we don't quite know what's going on with it, right? We don't know whether, they feel they're on the same page that we're on, those kind of things. And or are we misreading, are we misreading it to be friendship and not anything more than that? So it's really kind of defining our relationship a little bit more and
Right.
trying to understand that. So, yeah. So what do you think about that?
It's interesting as I'm trying to share the show. I'm trying to find it. I can't seem to find it on YouTube for some reason. Let me see if I can find it on Facebook.
Yeah, I do apologize because it's going to be hard for our listeners to find us now, but they've changed everything on the streaming. So now it's located, like on Facebook, it's located in an event. And I'm still putting it on our WGSN DB page. And then we also have a new page, which is the Going Solo Media page, Going Solo TV.
Yeah.
That is on there. And then also on my page. But it's crazy. And then the YouTube, it is on YouTube, so just look for it. But it is live right now. We are live.
I found it. I found it. I found it. I found it, and I'm sending it to a bunch of folks.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I'm going to be honest. I get disgusted and a little bit. I'm concerned. I'm concerned with the way we treat one another when we're in these kind of situationships. And do you know what a situationship is?
A situation.
A
Yeah,
situationship.
I looked that up too, and I'm trying to think. It's just kind of
You did, huh? Tell me that.
kind of just hanging out. I can't remember now because I looked at it. I said, "What is this? I've never heard of this before."
Right. So
But
so basically, right. And I'm almost done sharing. Sorry about this. I want to make sure we get all of our people on to watch.
yeah, because remember, you guys can make a comment right here live with us and talk to us, and
Absolutely.
we'll post it up and answer any questions that you have. Or
Absolutely. You could do so on TikTok as well. So we're here on TikTok. I got a couple of viewers real quick on TikTok. So, I was thinking about this, CC, and I'm sorry that it took me a second to focus in here. I just wanted to make sure everyone who wanted to see the show was seeing the show. I just, there was a time when we said to one another, do you want to be my partner? Do you want to be my boyfriend? Do you want to be my girlfriend? Do you want to go out? Do you want to be exclusive? Do you want to see only us? Do you want to move in together? Do you want to do these things? And I have some beef with the fact that we don't do that anymore. I have a lot of beef with it. I have a lot of beef with the fact that we just really are in a place in this country and in this world where it's no longer cool to be enthusiastic. It's no longer cool to have black and white shades. Everything seems to be different shades of gray, and I'm sick of it. I really am sick of it. I'm thankful that I have a partner. I'm thankful that we go through, we have conversations, and I hope it's okay to share. But even she and I have talked about how there have been certain points in our relationship where she's like, "Oh, I felt like I was too cool and I didn't want to ask for that and I didn't want to do that." And I'm like, with me, with your person, and so it's interesting. It's not just when you're single. It happens when you're partnered as well. But the reality is that we're in this spot where we're either too cool, or we don't want to commit, or we don't want to commit to one thing, or we don't want to ask the question. And it's like, what are we doing right now? Like, do you want happiness or do you not want happiness? Because if you don't want happiness, go ahead and pretend like everything's okay. But if you want eternal happiness, if you want to have sustainable happiness, then you, like, man or woman up, dude. Like, whatever you call yourself, man, woman, but non-gender specific. I don't care. Human up. And ask for it. Like, would you go into a job and be like, I don't know, like, what do you want me to do? Like, you want me to do some stuff? Like, you're gonna pay me for this stuff? Like, no, you go and you get the job, right? That's your livelihood. It's just as important with your love life. I don't know. Maybe I went on a rant. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, that it is true. And I think that, back in the day, there was certain procedures that would take place, right? And then a marriage would happen. Nowadays, it's a little bit different because people are not actually getting married. They're kind of living together. They're creating different types of relationships. And so, I think things have changed. Things are changing a little bit. So it makes it a little bit more difficult to really have a clear understanding. So that way, the most important thing is communication, right? You're going to have to be able to start being comfortable with your potential partner, if that's what you want them to be. If you're dating, if you're looking at them long term, then you have to start being comfortable enough to start talking about some of those issues, some of those things. And if you're not, then you have to question just how important is this person to me? How, where do I see myself with them?
Well, and here's the thing, and I know that you and I are going to disagree a bit on old school versus new school. So I'm less concerned about whether we're getting married and moving in together or doing whatever we're doing. But I'm more concerned about the communication part, right? Like, if we're at a point in our lives where it's just like, so many things at play. And I said this on a TikTok, and come at me, honestly, come at me. If you think I'm wrong, then live your life the way you want to live your life. And this is what I'm going to tell you. So often, I've gotten into conversations where I've ended what we call the talking phase of getting to know someone, right? And the reason that I've ended the talking phase is because a woman will say, I'll be real with you. If I want you, I'm going to come straight for you. There's nothing that's going to get in my way. I'm going to ask you on a date. I'm going to take you out. I'm maybe going to kiss you goodnight if you consent to that. I'm not going to ask for physical intimacy. I'm going to text you in the morning. I'm going to ask you out again. And that's how we ride, right? I got into so many conversations with women, and I'm not blaming women. I just happen to date women. If I dated men, then I would blame men. I'm not, it's nobody's fault. But I've gotten into so many conversations with women where they don't communicate properly, in my opinion. Not, that's up to me. It's up to them whether they want to communicate that way. But in my opinion, they don't communicate their needs and their wants to me the way I feel that I deserve and the way that I communicate. And they'll say something like, well, the only energy I had to do that I had in that moment was to send you a meme or a TikTok. Well, then reprioritize your energy, bruh. Like, anyone who's doing that. If you
okay, here's the thing, is the person that you're going for, and I think you're absolutely right, because I think men are the drivers, right? And maybe I'm old school, but I am. And but men are the drivers, and so you're doing exactly what a woman would kind of expect you to do as expressing in dating. But here's the reality: if the woman is not going to step forward in the way that you want them to step forward, in the pace that you want to step forward, they just may not be ready for you. This just may not be. Timing is everything, right? In a relationship.
Yeah, it could be.
They just may not be ready. It's like a dance, right? You're moving forward, so she then moves forward, and then you might move backwards a little bit, because men get a little bit like, ooh, we don't want get too sticky. We don't want the women to get too sticky on us.
Right.
But then again, you move, the woman then moves backwards a little bit, and then you come forward. It's just a dance that we do in a relationship. But the thing is, as you're progressing from the very beginning through to it, the reality is that communication needs to start growing and you need to start being comfortable with each other to start, really sharing and start sharing some of the big issues that are important to you, as your life is progressing and growing together, because you're creating memories, right? You're creating a bond together.
I think the problem though, Cece, is as you're talking about this, you're talking about a sustainable bond here, and I don't know that the generations below you understand what that means because we've not seen it yet, right? So I'm not here to blame anybody, but my mother passed when I was very young, my father, and then my stepmother got divorced. So I haven't seen a long-lasting marriage, work the way it's supposed to. So I'm not going to blame anybody. But here's what I will say, and we have a great question. We have some great questions from TikTok. I'll address in a second. I see you. Here's what I will say. I'll say this. If you follow attachment style, which I know you do, right? I don't know that people are not ready is that they don't know how to achieve what they're looking to achieve, right? And that they don't understand the input that it takes to get what you want. It's like, you want a sandwich, but you don't want to go to the kitchen to make it. You know what I mean? And the other part of the problem that I see is consent, right? So when I like you, I'm going to enthusiastically consent to any kind of intimacy that I want. You want to call me your boyfriend? I'm going to tell you to call me your boyfriend when you're ready. You want to touch me? I'm going to tell you to touch me when you're ready. You want to kiss me? I'm going to tell you to kiss me when you're ready. You want to love me? All those things, right? There becomes an issue with consent when people don't verbalize these things. I'll give you a great example. So as you know, I live a very different life than you, and I've gone to some clubs, both in New York, in Vegas, all over the world. And these clubs, you engage in some lifestyle activities, right? And women will come up to you drunk as a fish, and they expect you to make a move on them. And to me, that's the most dangerous position that I could ever be in, right? And I remember saying to my partner at the time, when I was with my partner, I said, I wish somebody would just come up to us and say, hey, I'm pretty sober. I like you. You seem like a good guy and a good gal. I want to get to know you. Let's go next door and have a smoke or a drink or something like that. Sure enough, within the hour, somebody who was a little bit older than me, who came from a different generation, said, hey, you folks look pretty cute. Can I get to know you? And that's, to me, that's the consent and the conversation and the communication that I want when I'm approaching someone.
Right. Well, I mean, I agree with that. I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just saying that my lifestyle is totally different than yours. and I'm not too sure that my guy would be so happy if someone came up and said, hey, you guys look like a cute couple. Let's go hang out together. I think he'd be saying, let me show you to the door.
Yeah, so, that's fair.
Yeah, so we've got a little bit different relationship, so I totally understand.
Well, look, if a guy came up to me and said that, that's just not how I play. But a girl came up to us, so it was nice. Hey, Cece, can I read a couple of these comments one at a time from TikTok? We've got some really good ones here. Panic at the Bistro says, I check in with everyone in my community for their needs daily if possible. Assuming, Panic at the Bistro, that you might be polyamorous because you're talking about your community, but I don't know. So what do you think about that? Checking in daily. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think that if you're trying to build a relationship, I think definitely you have to, and it's not something that you have to do. It's something that you want to do.
Yeah. I'll give you, if you don't mind, I'm Panic at the Bistro. I'll give you a wonderful story about that I'm going to do our own show on this network called the Relationship Check-In. So my partner and I, we went and we did a relationship. Have you ever done a relationship check-in?
What is a relationship check-in?
Well, for us, it's a little different because we have, I'm a little bit of a dominant person and she's not so dominant, right? So for us, we took out a pad and a pen and we decided the things that we wanted to talk about. And we sat at a table at a club where we felt comfortable. And we documented what we wanted to do at this place that we felt, we got some sodas and we sat and we relaxed and we talked about it. And people were coming by and going, what are you doing? We're like, we're just doing a relationship check-in. And here's the funny part. Everyone who passed and asked us what we were doing and asked what about the relationship check-in said, are you okay? Yeah, we're okay. We're actually great. That's why we're doing a relationship check-in, right? You don't wait until there's something wrong to check in with your partner. You check in early so that you fix things. And I thought that to be very profound, that people were like, everything okay? Yeah, it's great. That's why we're doing it,
So, okay, so what you're doing is asking your partner, is there any issues about certain things, or
Yeah,
are
what
you
like
upset over it? Yeah,
what
I mean, I think you have to have that in a
has
relationship.
to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't necessarily do it with a pen and paper, but I think,
Well, it was
you know,
for us. It was a ritual that we really wanted to explore in a way that was super sexy. That she was going to take notes, and I was going to tell her what was up, and she was going to tell me what was up, and we were going to really combine how we were feeling and really set some limits and set some boundaries and talk about things that worked and talk about things that didn't work. I'll be honest with you, I've had some really great nights with my partner. That was one of the sexiest nights I've ever had, and we sat across the table from each other. I mean, I was so mentally and emotionally stimulated by my partner that I could have, if we weren't in a public place, I would have jumped your bones right there. Would have just jumped right over the table. It was really
well, that's nice. But would have been a little bit crazy at the plate at the restaurant. But
yeah,
I agree with that, though. I think that you should, and often, when you're having those kind of conversations, and the time just goes right because you're really
yeah,
doing that one-on-one, and actually, I had the my guys say that to me just recently. It's like, when we talk, we're talking about, like, we start on one subject and then we move to something else and something else and something else. Next thing you know, so much time has gone by and we've talked about so many different things. And I think that's kind of like the relationship check-in. It's
absolutely.
really about, like, what is your day go? How is your day going? What is this going? What is that? You know what I mean? So it's really that kind of thing. But the most important element of it is that you enjoy it, right? You enjoy not only talking to that person, but that person also enjoys talking to you, and you both enjoy listening to each other. And that is what is so, I think, very, very important, and is an important sign in a relationship. Because if that isn't the case, if you're just, you pick up the phone, and you're being rushed, or you're talking with them and you don't have time to give them all this kind of stuff, something's not right. You're
No.
not connecting.
Well, a lot of times to that point, and then I've got a great question from Jenny Alamode here
Okay.
that will answer. But to that end, when you're doing these relationship check-ins and when you're seeing where you stand, right? Sometimes, so I suffer from severe ADHD, and I know my partner does as well. So sometimes we both, because during that relationship check-in, we went 2 hours focused, and we still didn't get done what we wanted to, right? And so sometimes I'll have to be like, hey, my love, focus, right? Let's focus on this, right? Because it is important. There could be things going on behind the scenes that you're not seeing because you're not checking in, and it's important to check in. There are jokes, there are silly little jokes that could hurt someone's feelings because you have a boundary you haven't set, or you have something that you feel insecure about and that you haven't said it yet, and those hurt, right? It's much better to get them out in the open. Now, I want to address Jenny Alamode. I love this. Talking about when you're kind of approaching someone and you're saying, look, this is who I am, and I want to be with you. I want to learn about you. She says, what if they don't think what if they don't think you're serious? What if you're coming at them straight up and they don't think you're serious? What happens there?
If so, or I'm not sure if I understand. So if you have a relationship or you don't have a relationship.
I think she's talking about in the beginning as you're getting to know each other and you're being forthcoming. You're saying, look, I like you. Let's move forward. And they don't believe that you could actually like them. How do you, and I'll tell you my thoughts after, but how do you combat that?
I'm not sure if they're the right person. Because if you come forward with someone and you say, hey, and you've seen them, let's say you've seen them a couple times or whatever, you're starting to build a relationship, and you say, hey, I really like you, I'd like to see that, and you kind of have that conversation when you're thinking about being exclusive, right?
Sure.
And so you have that conversation, like, I'd like to see, where this goes. Maybe we don't see other people, we kind of take this on, that kind of thing. And they just stare at you like a deer with the headlights. They're not the right one, because they're not on the same page, or they're not there yet, right?
Yeah.
They're not quite where you're at. And so that's understandable. We do have a comment here.
Yeah, we have a comment from Megan, but let me address Jenny real quick first. Because I think I know what you're saying, and I want to address that in a way that I think I understand. So this happens to me often when I'm not single at the moment, but when I was single, This happened to me pretty often when I was on dating apps, because I would meet somebody in person after they didn't want to meet me on a dating app. As you know, I date plus size. I've dated plus size women exclusively, and when I was forthcoming about these types of things, a lot of women said to me, and I'm not trying to put myself on a pedestal. Please don't think I'm like the plus sized whisperer here. But a lot of women said to me, I didn't think you were serious. There's no way that you were swiping right on me. I thought you were just looking for an easy lay. And then when you asked me out on a date, I figured something was wrong. I figured something was up. So to your end, maybe they're not ready, Cece, because there's probably a lot of internal processes that need to happen.
Right. There are a lot of insecurities.
But to that end, that takes a long time to get around, because this world that we live in, right, there's this constant flow of men doing that. Not only to plus size women, but to women in general. They are constantly at odds with men who say one thing but really mean another. They say, I want to take you out on a date, and this happens all the time. I can't tell you, literally every single person I coach has had this happen to them at least once, where they go, okay, tell me what I did wrong. I go, okay, lay it on me. They go, this man A asked me out on a date. 2 hours before the date, his car broke down, and he said, can I come pick him up? Then an hour before the date, he said, actually, do you want to just come over? And then 20 minutes before the date, he says, are we going to have sex? Right? And so it's a bait and switch. And so women are programmed at this moment in time to not trust a damn thing a man says. And I put this on a TikTok a couple of weeks ago. I wouldn't trust me if I were in your DMs, because you don't know me. You don't know my intention. I'm actually not sexually driven.
Right.
But you don't know that. And so I do kind of think that it's fair. And to that end, it's been about 20 minutes. I want to just, if you're on TikTok, I will take a screenshot of these questions. We'll answer them on YouTube. Go over to my Instagram, please. Head to the YouTube channel, and you can comment right there. But I'll screenshot these comments as well. So we're going to end TikTok right now, okay? We'll see you soon.
You know, I do want to address that, because I think we need to back it up. Not all men are like that, and not all dating starts out like that. And when you start dating, no matter what your size is, plus size or otherwise, you have to have the self-confidence in yourself as you move forward, right? And so if you don't have that, then that other person's going to see that. And if they want someone that's inferior to them, they're going to be going after you. And that's not what you want. You want to be strong within yourself and stand up for yourself. And someone's not going to do that if they don't think they can get away with it. You know,
Sure.
And I've often said many times on a date, or like I'm meeting someone, you know, do what you say and say what you do. And that's important to me. And if you want someone to respect you, you have to respect yourself first. And
Absolutely.
So if some guy did that to me, I mean, he would be so out of it. I would just not even, like, you want me to come and pick you up? I mean, don't even go there. I mean, I wouldn't even do that.
Well, have you? This is funny now. Have you seen or heard of this woman who? Tell me what her name is. Melissa, I want to say Elise. She's a famous TikToker, and now she's on Instagram. She's kind of a comedian. She talks about the worst date she's ever been on. Please allow me the couple of minutes to tell you the worst date she's ever been on. So, but this is how bad it is, though, Cece. You don't understand. You came from a different time. So she.
No, I have pretty bad dates.
I'm sure you've had bad dates. So this is this woman Elise on TikTok. She's got like X amount, millions of followers, and she starts the TikTok. Worst date I've ever been on? I'm glad you asked. And she goes into this man once, Elise Myers. Thank you. So she goes and she meets this man who says, come meet me at my home, which is generally a tactic for men to get you to sleep with them, right? Because they're going to say, oh, why even go out? Let's just stay. Now, I'll be honest, I didn't know that. I feel comfortable with a woman coming to my home because I want to drive them, and I don't want them to think that I need to know where they live, right? Because I don't want that kind of trouble. You know what I'm saying? But then I realized it, and I said, oh, okay, you think I'm trying to sleep with you. Let me tell you something. If we're eating tacos tonight, you're not getting laid because I'm full. I'm going to bed. I'm going to hibernate like a walrus, right? So anyway, so she picks him up, and he's like, oh, my car broke down. She's like, you need me to drive? He goes, yeah, absolutely. So he gives her directions to this place, right? And it's a Taco Bell. And she's like, why are we at a Taco Bell? And he's like, we're going to get dinner. And she's like, drive through or, are we dining? And he goes, drive through. So
this is hilarious.
We pull through the drive through, right? And she's like, what do you want? And he leans over her, right? I would like 100 hard shell tacos, please. And leans back. So now they're picking up the food. And she's like, who's this fucking guy? Who's this guy? So she goes and he's doing this at the drive-thru. She goes, you don't have your wallet. He goes, no. So she pays for the 100 tacos. And it just goes on and on. He brings her back to his house. They unload the tacos on his kitchen table. He lives with his parents. And he goes, let's feast. And just starts plowing into hard shell tacos.
This has got to be made up.
Cece, I'm telling you, if it's made up, it's a great story. But when I tell you, I coach all the time. That is not even that bad compared to what I hear from men.
Yeah, no, I know there's some really bad ones. Yeah.
Did you say you had a comment from Megan?
Yes, Megan here.
And then I want to address some comments that I screenshotted from TikTok.
Okay.
Absolutely. As a relationship changes and develops, it's important to learn if and how their needs are changing as well. Well, you of course know, Megan being my partner, that we have had our ups and downs with regard to our relationship changing. We'll have to have her on as a guest because I feel as though I leave her defenseless when I talk about our relationship. But our relationship has changed.
Maybe I'll do a show with her.
You can do a show.
I'm kidding. Megan.
When you're honest with your partner, I would put Megan in the room with anybody in my circle. I would put her in the room with my exes. I'd put her in the room with my family. I'd put her in the room with anyone that I've spoken to. And I trust A, that I've given her the information she needs and she wouldn't be shocked. And B, if I've left something out, she knows it's not with bad intentions, that I probably just didn't do it on purpose. So go have her on a show for sure.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'd love to have her on anytime. But yeah, so what did she say? As relationships change and develop, it's important. In
other words, checking in, making sure as things grow that you talk to each other, right? This is not even. There's a couple of things in life that you need. You need a roof over your head. You need food to eat. And you need somebody to love you, right? I mean, this is not a hard life here. And so the roof over your head and the food to eat comes from your job, right? So imagine you walk into work one day. I mean, this has happened. I've worked for employers this has happened to. And they say, your job's changing. And you go, what? And you had no say. Or all of a sudden the process changes, or you report to someone new and you're like, what? That changes your livelihood. That really messes you up. Now imagine that with someone you love. They start changing the game on you, and they don't bring you in on that conversation. What the heck? Talk to me about it. We're cool. Let's talk.
Well, I think that's why you see so many breakups, right? Is because things do change, and you're not moving within the relationship. So, and you're not aware of it, and things like that happen. And so, you definitely need to check in and what kind of relationship if you don't have, if you're not doing that, what kind of relationship do you have?
Right. Ha. I need no defense when you talk about me. You talk about me with such care. Megan's walking on eggshells because I feel like, we've had a couple of good weekends, and now she feels like she's got to be nice to me. It was her birthday. It was my birthday. I got her some good gifts. I think she's trying to be extra nice. I don't know what she's looking for.
No, Megan, you do not have to be nice to him. I give you full permission to be naughty.
We don't mind a little naughty in this house either.
Christopher's going, okay, yay, thanks for that.
Except on the naughty, absolutely. I hit
yes. Yeah. So anyhow, let's talk a little bit about reading the signs, right?
Absolutely.
Because I think that's important. And I did pull up an article, about reading the signs. We can kind of talk about some of those if you want, So what do you, let me ask you, in your relationship, what kind of signs do you see that, means that it's a quality relationship to you?
I think, and our relationship's not without its problems, right? As we discussed it earlier, nobody's perfect, right? Here's what I think we do well. and there are certain things that we don't do well. But here's what I think we do well. I think that we do a really good job of communicating our thought process, so that and we didn't always do this. There was a couple of weeks there, or a couple of months there even, where we weren't doing a good job, and now we are communicating our thought process you know what? I'm going to share it. I'll share it. So my partner is big on TikTok, as you know. She's got all gajillion followers. She's a big deal, right? I could give a crap about that. It's not my thing, right? Do I think she's hot? Absolutely. Is that why she has a lot of followers? Probably. She's also very smart. She says smart things. So a couple of months ago, she makes a TikTok about me. He's cute. He's my, the corn song. He's my corn, and she doesn't share it publicly. There's a way that you can make a video, but only have it to be viewed by yourself. And so Jenny says she's so smart. She is. So she only shared it to be viewed by herself, and because she just wanted to make it, right? And so she shares the screenshot with me and says, "Look, I made this video for you." I said, "Beebs, I can't find it. What's the story here?" She said, "Well, it's private. Only I can view it." Now, what do I interpret? You made a video about me, but you don't want people to know you made a video about me. You don't want to share that you love me. Mm-hmm. Well, that hurts. Now, do I talk about it? No, of course not, because I don't feel like I get to talk about that, because who am I if you don't even want to share the video about me? So it lingers. It lingers for months. And so we get into some other phases, and we talk about social media a little bit. And I talked about how, I didn't feel like we were reciprocating each other. And here's, so she, a couple of days ago, she shares the video publicly. And I go, "Well, what'd you do that for now? What's going on?" She says, "Listen, I didn't share the video originally because I had made a few videos about us going places, and I felt an imbalance. You weren't making them. You weren't doing the same thing. And so I felt you didn't want me to be out. You didn't want everyone to know about me. So I made this video, and I ultimately decided not to share it because I felt embarrassed that I didn't want to be doing all this for you and you not want it." And I said, "Well, you fool, because I was hurt that you didn't share it. I love the shit out of you," right? Excuse my language. And so now we're doing a better job of explaining what our intentions are. And I think that is one of the most important things that you should be doing, is actions speak louder than words, but the words have to really explain what the intentions were. And I think that's really important.
Yeah, very well said. Yeah, that's very true. Absolutely. I agree with that.
How about you? So what are some of the signs that you think you're going in the right direction, Cece?
Well, again, I think, the communication has to be there. And we've had some trouble with that. We've had some things, and we kind of get in our head a little bit, thinking about things, and what's that stinking thinking type of thing. So we kind of do that. I also think for us, one of the hardest things is that we've been around the block, a few times, and so it causes a bit of negativeness, and so we're definitely we kind of struggle with that a little bit. So I mean, there's a lot of things, but I think all the positive things are there, sharing with other people that we're together, not hesitating about that, and progressing in a positive way with regards to our relationship. And, you can see it going forward, that it's, that it's strong and it's going good. And we both kind of want the same things. And so, so it's all going in the right direction. We've had a few real big hiccups, but, but we have managed to get through it. So, so pretty good.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note too, y'all are relationship goals. Oh, I love that. Thank you. Ooh, love that profile picture, Mandy. For sure.
That is a pretty picture of her.
Right? She looks great. So there's a couple of things here. So you mentioned two things, and I think two things to note are important. We both mentioned communication, and I think it's important that I want to mention two things: both communicating about the right stuff and then taking action. So communicating about the right stuff. It's one thing to communicate, but if y'all are continuing to disagree, maybe it's time to call it quits. So, for example, Cece, let's say if it's you and I and we're dating, and let's pretend we're of the same age, and I say, "Oh man, something I can't wait to have a baby. I'll tell you what, can't wait to just have a baby, and it's going to be great. And you say, baby, yuck, ugh. What are you going to tell me next? You want to go to church? Well, yeah, I was kind of thinking that, right? So if that's the communication that's happening, y'all need to get on the same page, or y'all need to get into different books, because there's nothing that's going to, if I want a baby and you do not, and that's a biological thing in me that I want, that's a need in me that I want, that I yearn for, and you're not feeling it, big problem. Same thing with faith, right? If I have faith and you're not a person of faith, we may conflict a little bit. I know that we've talked about that. The other part of the equation that I think is super valuable that we need to talk about, words are words. Words are words are words. Words hurt. They can do a lot. They make impact. But let me tell you something that makes more impact. It's taking action. So when you've had that conversation and you say, I'm ready to move in with you, I'm ready to be exclusive with you, I'm ready to be your partner, and then I see you flirting with the cashier at Starbucks, or I see you not giving me a key to your apartment when you said you would, and now I've got to ask for it again, or I see you on it, I catch you downloading a dating app because you're feeling insecure, well, then your actions aren't matching your words. And so that's just as important, I think, as having that communication.
Absolutely. Very well said. You're doing good tonight,
Thank you. Thank you. I think
You're really banging it up. You're doing good job. But no, absolutely. I agree with that wholeheartedly. And you do have to, your words do have to match, and you do have to continuously go in that progressive state. You know what I mean? That flowing of the state. And if you stop, if there's like because of like the baby thing, like you suggested, right, then that's where your that's where your decision is. You're at a crossroads, and you have to then decide what you want to do. I think that is important with all of our relationships, trying to determine the type of relationship we want as we progress, in further in our lives. And so I think that's kind of like where we're at too, is with regards to where do we see ourselves in the future? Where do we, what do we see our relationship as we progress forward? And that can take time, it can be. It doesn't necessarily mean we have to be married. It doesn't mean, what does it mean, right? So we're trying to sort that out. And I think a lot of people in my age group, that is something that they're thinking about, is, do they truly want marriage again? What type of relationship do they want? Do they want someone to live with them, not live with them, live in separate homes, but be close by, so they can see each other on a regular basis? I mean, how much sharing do they want? How holidays? How are they going to approach those? Those are coming up right around the corner. How do you want to approach those kind of things? So, I mean, I think we can design a relationship that we so want, but it's open communication, talking about it, enjoying each other's company, being honest and real as we're talking with each other, that we can actually develop the kind of personal relationship that we want. So yeah, I think it's all good.
Absolutely. So, I think as we're starting to wrap up the show a little bit, right? We don't want to go too long.
Yeah.
The bottom line is, I started this off with a little bit of rant, and I still I'm going to rant a little bit, because I just think, we're so afraid of the what if. We're so afraid. We get so paralyzed. If I give this person my love and they don't give it back, if I communicate with this person and they don't communicate it back, let me tell you the worst thing in the world that you could do to yourself. I don't care if it's your career, your relationship, your family. Not doing something is the worst thing you can do. Not making a move. I call this, if you read my book, I call it getting your shoes dirty. Everyone's afraid. They want to go down path A or path B. And if they go down path A and it's the wrong path, they've got to come all the way back to the middle of the road and then go down path B. Let me tell you something. The dirt you accumulate on your shoes is not just dirt. It is experience, and it's going to help you get down path B a lot faster and with a lot more fun. But not telling someone you love them, not telling someone this is what you want, not telling them someone what your needs are, you already have a loss. You're losing. You must make it a priority to get your needs spoken out there, because the worst thing that's going to happen is they're going to tell you no. And you know what? Better to know now. Get out. But the best thing that's going to happen is they're going to say, wow, I didn't know. Or you know what? I'm a little anxious about that conversation because I'm nervous about commitment. But you know what? I love you. I'm going to do what's best for you. I don't want to see you go anywhere. So let's make this work. It's never going to happen if you don't put your cards out on the table.
Right. Absolutely. Well, something we were talking about this week is that love is a choice, right? and you can choose it.
There is.
And you can choose to live it. And so often we don't do that. We let fears get in the way. We let our past get in the way, things like that. And so, going forward, if that is truly what we want in our lives, we truly want love in our lives, then choose it, follow it. Don't be afraid of it. And that's very important. I think you're frozen. Oh no, now you're unfrozen.
Oh, you were frozen too. We were frozen.
Was I frozen? Oh, I hope I had a good look on my face.
I'm gonna start. I'm just every time you freeze or I freeze, I'm just gonna start singing "Let It Go, Let It Go."
I know. It's terrible when you do freeze up. You always got a really weird look on your face.
Oh, it's like that.
Yeah, no, it's really something weird. So, well, listen, we're gonna have to go, but I love doing the show with you here.
You too, Cece. Thank you so much.
It is a lot of fun. So I hope you guys will join us next time. We're on every other week. And I know we've been off a little bit here because we've had some stuff happening and I was actually sick. But I'm well on the mend here and ready to continue on.
Absolutely. So Cece, please, good luck. Please say some prayers for everybody in Florida right now. Another hurricane's hitting. So please, good luck to you. You were watching WGSN-DB Going Solo Network Radio. We are your hosts of today's show, Dr. Christopher Salute and Cece Shatz, the Doyenne of Relationships and Everything Wonderful. You are watching Bold Wednesdays. This is the Guy and Girl Show. I want to thank you for joining us and thank you for your engagement. Stay tuned. The barbershop's up next. We're talking about how this is another Cece pick of the week. How to date like a gentleman. I don't know if I've done it right my whole life, but I'm going to find out, and you're going to find out with me. Thanks for coming on tonight.
That'll be fun. I hope I don't get crazy and want to jump into the conversation.
You may want to.
Anyhow, bye guys. Bye.